Going to be a hell of a summer for Jeff Traylor. Not only, of course, what he does is he oversees the UTSA football program, but also in July, he's going to be inducted into the Texas High School Coaches Association Hall of Honor. And this Saturday will be inducted into the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame, the event on Saturday evening in Waco. Jeff Traylor joins us. Craig Smoke with me, too, on 365 Sports. You earned this. You have had an amazing record as a head coach at the high school level. We'll get to the college part later on. What does this mean to you?
Yeah, it's a special thing I've ever got to be a part of, just because of how much I love the state of Texas and how much respect I have for the coaches in my own career and the ones I've tried to model my own career after. It means a lot that I'm going in with you, to be very honest. You know my career here better than anybody. You knew me when I was a snot-nosed kid in my 20s, working for Danny Long, who I thought was, the worst boss you could have, because he was mean to me all the time. I thought you were, I'm a little small-town kid from Gilmer, David, and you and Smokey.com, I just thought that was like the worst thing in the world. And Danny was just so good for me, speaking of Danny Long, who I worked for, just to explain to me how you were good for the game and you meant well and everything you were doing was for all of us. And I was just so young and naive. I didn't understand media. I didn't understand much, David, to be honest. And now here I am 35 years later, 30 years later, and going in with you, and it's a tremendous honor.
No, it is. And that's something that I will absolutely mention on Saturday about being connected to the East Texas pipeline with what you did with Gilmer, Jacksonville with the legacy of the quarterbacks and the McCowns and much, much more. I was on the phone. Danny's speaking at an event I have next Wednesday. You mentioned how he was maybe the meanest boss you could ever imagine, but my goodness, he's also another one that had great success. What did you learn from him?
Well, he worked for Dennis Parker.
Yes.
And Dennis had such an unbelievable influence on Danny that Danny thought he should be Dennis. And why probably me, you, and Danny all get along so well, I'm never short on an opinion. And even in my 20s, I had opinions, and I used to tell Danny, "You're not Dennis. You're like one of the nicest people in the world. You're trying to act like somebody you're not. Just be you. You're really, really good at your job, but you're not good when you act like Dennis." He would tell me to shut up, and all the mean things he'd say to me and not ever listen to me. But I do know I didn't think he was very good at his job, because I was in my 20s and knew everything. And when I got the job at Gilmer and I turned 30, David, I think I called Danny every day on the phone for probably 3 straight years, just asking him how to figure out this problem. A lot like my father, Danny got a lot smarter the older I got, for sure.
When did Randy McCowan, everyone knows Josh and Luke, and Randy is an incredible businessman now, but he was the first of the 3 McCowan legacies, then Josh, and then Luke, who might have been better than all of them as a gunslinger at La Tech. When did you know, and when you went to Jacksonville, it's about the time Randy might have been, a senior? Or was he gone that year?
Yeah. No, Danny actually hired me. He literally told me he had these 3 great quarterbacks in the McCowans, but he couldn't get any kids to come play receiver for him. And he knew I was a really good basketball coach that loved to play basketball. And that was pretty much my job description. I need you to come in here and coach receivers and DBs, get in that gym, and make sure we've got great receivers for these boys to throw the ball to. So that was my job description, pretty much. So I got in there with Randy when he was at the end of his career. But I had Josh. I was Josh's 9th grade head basketball coach. I was Luke's junior high quarterback coach, as well as I had those boys. I had the quarterback 7th grade up, and then Coach Turner took over when they got to the varsity period. And Owen, who's my quarterback right now,
Yep.
McCowan, his father was Josh McCowan, and my son Jordan is now the co-offensive coordinator for the Vikings, working with Josh McCowan, who coaches the quarterback with the Vikings. So this thing has come literally full circle since Danny hired me in 1993.
You've always been, as you mentioned, confident. You always had an opinion. You started out at Big Sandy, then Jacksonville, then you got your opportunity, and you went back to your alma mater at Gilmer. Was there a moment, I don't know, maybe in the first game, I don't know if you lost that first game or not, was there ever a chance you went, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this?
Yeah, I stayed on the John. We played Gladewater the very first game of my career. And you know how that is.
Oh,
Back
yeah.
then, they could not beat Gladewater. And if you beat Gladewater, you had a lifetime contract at Gilmer. That's our arch rival. And they were ranked like number 3 in the state. David Hoosman was the coach. Way more qualified. Way more great wins than Jeff Traylor had ever had. And we upset them that night. It's shockingly. And we played almost perfect. I didn't understand rivalry games back then, David. I thought we were going to play that well every week. And then we went to Hooks and played Steve Wells the very next week, and we were way more talented. And Hooks beat the heck out of us. We just weren't ready to play. And I learned just so much so quickly about rivalry games, and we just weren't a program yet. We won 6 games that first year, which was the first winning season in a decade, but we just weren't a program. I always knew they had the talent, David. We always beat Dangerfield and Gladewater in junior high and JV in 9th grade. We never could beat them on the varsity. And at a young age, David, I knew Jack Murphy and Dennis Alexander were the difference. And I wanted to give that to my community so bad. I just didn't know how. But God sent me to Jacksonville to learn from Danny Long and Matt Turner and Wayne Coleman and Dennis Parker, quite frankly. And I got to bring that kind of version back to Gilmer. And we basically played basketball on grass for about 8 years. Or turf. We got turf finally in Gilmer, as you know. And that's all I knew. And I don't think I even learned how to coach until probably 2008, where we actually started working defense and special teams and me becoming a really good head coach. Because we were scoring a lot of points, David. We couldn't stop anybody. We just happened to be winning state championships because I had better players than everybody else.
When you were at Gilmer, you were a center, right? Were you an offensive lineman?
I was a quarterback until my junior year. Then I was a tight end my junior year. And then we hired a coach that came in and ran the triple
Oh,
I.
my God. Yes, he did. I remember that.
Ron Dupree. And we had no tight ends. I never played defense. I could not run a 4.6 40, which was the requirement to play. So we went with my best friend, Gary Palmer. And I had an offensive line coach named Joe Black. There was an All-American linebacker, won the national championship in Arkansas. He said, Jeff, I'd like you to play center. I said, I'm the backup quarterback. He's like, yeah, but you're 6'3", 210. You know, you could play center. And I'm like, all right. I was the point guard, played third base on the baseball team, and my dad would not let me quit. So I had no choice, either sit on the bench or play center. And I ended up being first team All East Texas, All-State center, and I was the backup quarterback as well.
Multitasking as positions. When did you graduate? Was it 85 or 86 or 87 from Gilmer? I got a question to follow that up with.
Yeah, 86. I graduated 86.
So you played offensive line. You know that the next year, 86, Jefferson won the state title, beat Cuero down at Kyle Field, and you had to face a guy named Jerry Bennett. You were a player, and the late, great Jerry Bennett, who passed away just over a week ago, Phil's brother, Phil brought that up to me, and I think even Danny Long brought that up to me. When did you have a chance at all to pick Jerry Bennett's brain, even though the age difference was the way it was, and he was a character, no doubt about it?
you got to remember, when I got hired in 2000, that was right at the end of Jerry's career at Jefferson. I believe the last game he coached at Jefferson was against me at Gilmer in 2000. Now, he might have come back around and done some more things after that, but I'm almost sure that was his last one.
Yeah, he went to Linden. He went to Linden Kildare, and Shock Linwood was on his team at the end of like the 2009 or 10 season. But yeah, he was. You're right on his last year at Jefferson.
And my favorite meetings were the year before that when I got hired, and just being in the DEC meetings and just listening. You got to remember, I'm in there with Dangerfield, Randy McFarland, Spring Hill, Steve Gaddis, Jefferson, Jerry Bennett, and I'm 30 years old, David. And I was like a kid in the Candace story with all my freaking heroes in there. And then I started thinking, how in the hell am I ever going to beat these guys? I'm 30. I don't even know what I'm doing. And we're not even any good at Gilmer. How am I? That first year, Randy McFarland was ahead of me 49-0 at halftime. And I remember calculating that would be 98 if he kept it up. And then Steve Gaddis was ahead of me 28-0 at Spring Hill at the first quarter. Gilmer's not what it is now. It was not that in 2000. We've come a long way in 25 years, David.
No question about it, and you have as well. One more high school question, then we'll get to the UTSA Roadrunners and football program. You're going to be in this class. You're going to be in the Hall of Honor. I've asked you what it all means to you. You're confident, and yet you have become, as I've gotten to know you, you're not more humble, but you're very humble about what you've accomplished. Are you better with that than you were before?
It was all insecurities, David. I was just young and fighting and didn't know any better. Didn't have great examples to really teach me. And I've been blessed, like for Danny and Matt and Wayne to show up in my life right when I was 23, 24. The McCallans were huge. Their parents, Robin and Pat, were huge influences on my life.
Yep.
And I've just been blessed. And the Lord has kind of worked some miracles in my life that have really just taught me some things along the way. And I'm a much better version. I told Dr. Compost and President Amy when they hired me, they're definitely hiring the best version of Jeff Traylor at this point in my life, no doubt, David.
You've won state championships and been in a lot of them. I'm proud that you're going to be a part of this class, and you're right. It makes it even more special for me, too, that you will be one of those that's inducted on Saturday. Football, man, I mean, college football, there's all sorts of stuff. No different than 3 or 4 years ago when we would have talked to you. Some things have changed. The portal is still a mess. NIL is who knows what it is. It's not what it was supposed to be. Tampering is still there, and I know you get tired of talking about that. Do you have any idea what the rules are in college football right now?
There are none. This is the first year I've ever lost 3 kids in the month of May. I lost my kicker.
Yep.
I mean, there's just no way to prove any of it, David. The stuff's the people are too good at doing it. I called every head coach that tampered with my kids. Most of them returned the calls. Only one of them did not tell the truth. And, we don't need presidents, NCAA, and ADs to monitor us if we'll all just do the right thing. We shouldn't be messing with other kids' rosters. If they get in the portal, then it's all fair game. But we should not be tampering with other people's kids. Bad ball. It is what it is. I'm not going to speak on it. I'm not going to give names. I know who I called. They know who called me back. The man that lied to me knows which one lied to me. It is what it is. And until we get control of the game, it's going to stay that way. And it's sad, but it is what it is.
Coach, how difficult is it to go through spring ball at this point, and how do you go about trying to do the best you can to maximize your individual players, but your team as a whole, while also having to look over your shoulder the entire time of just what's that experience like going through spring, and what value does it carry compared to maybe 5 years ago when you weren't constantly looking over your shoulder?
Well, I wish we could get it where it was January so you know who you had in the spring. You'd like to work your team out and know that's going to be your team for the fall. We lost our corner, we lost the running back, and we lost our kicker during spring ball. We had to cancel kickoff practice, so we don't have a kid that could kick it off because he's not here anymore. That's all I'll say. Wonderful kid. These are not the kid's fault. These are adult problems. These are not kid problems. We've created these problems. And that's something I wish we could get back under control. I'm all for the kids getting to go wherever they want to go. But, man, we should be able to do that in a timely manner, right when the season's over. And then they can go do what they want to do. But whoever we have in the spring, we should be able to coach that and know that's going to be your football team for the fall.
Okay, I'm going to follow up one more question then, and I want to get to the team that you have and you hopefully will have when you go to work out in August. If, in fact, you have somebody trying to contact your players, or when you do, how then you react if you lose somebody, and do you have to wait to see who is in the portal? Do coaches get together and look around? How does that work for somebody who is getting rated?
Well, they don't contact the kid. They're not stupid.
Right.
They're going to call.
Yeah.
They're going to call a third party, an agent, or maybe the kicking coach, whatever that might look like. You're not going to be able to catch them and prove it. There's no way they're going to do that. So that's just it. You named it. And I'm not even sure the head coach knows as much anymore, as now you've got general managers. They've got their 6 or 8 kids working for them. One of those 6 or 8 reaches out to whoever their contact is in that area, lets them know they're looking for a certain position. You got agents now speaking to all this stuff, and the agents are shopping these kids around. It's all third party. It's not coach to player. It's going to be someone in a department, probably personnel, speaking to a handler or an agent. Then it's getting the message to the kid, a kid back to agent, kid back to handler, back to someone in the department. Unprovable.
All right. You have McCowan back at quarterback. You have a really good football team, because I know Jeff Traylor would not have one despite the losses. Who are you as you enter the offseason? Because it looks as if the non-Power 4 schools, that UTSA, Boise, Memphis, you can go down to a couple of others, that those are always going to be good. Is that the case with you again this year?
We were blessed. Yes, I did lose my running back, my corner, and my kicker, but I kept my quarterback, Owen McCowan, who finished the year so strong. Those 3 tight ends I have are as good as anybody in the country. They were tampered with all spring. They all stayed. McEwen at receiver, Amador at wide receiver, all tampered with. They all stayed. My whole offensive line is back. I did lose my starting center, who's with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I lost my tight end, Oscar Cardinals, but he got hurt early in the year. He went to the Arizona Cardinals. So we ended up playing the young tight ends, and we were just so fortunate they all stayed. We don't have the money those P4 schools have. All those kids stayed for about a fifth of the money they would have made at other places. But I know Owen had a lot to do with that. And we finished the year so strong. We started off very rough, but we were as good as anybody in the country at the end of the year, winning 4 or 5 out of that last 4 or 5 games. And to win another bowl game. And I just know the way we finished it and having Owen back had a lot to do with that, David.
Was last year the hardest season you've been through?
Yeah, we just blew so many games at the end. We were undisciplined. We were poorly coached. That was all on Jeff Traylor. I let some things go, David, that I shouldn't have to keep some great players. I didn't want them to get in the portal. So I let some things get away that I'm embarrassed with. Nothing like major. I'm talking about academic being on time, the tutors, the training room, the way we practiced. I mean, just certain things I turned my head on, and really embarrassed I did that, and I'm not doing that again, David.
Yeah, it's because there's a fine line of does that ever work out well when you have to turn your head or you have to let some things slide and players take advantage of you?
You would think I'd know better. I just never had been put in that position before, and I just compromised too many things. And it's shame on me. I'm just not doing it again. We don't have a motto. When we started out in January, we always have a motto. I said, look, the motto this year might be transfer portal. I'm going to try to put all your butts in it. I'm not turning my head. We're going to coach your tail off. We're going to be a well-disciplined, well-coached football team. We're not going to be undisciplined like we were last year. And that was all on Jeff Traylor. That was not the kids. That was all on Jeff Traylor.
How hard is it to prepare for a team, a military academy? Army, of course, runs the triple option. Navy ended up having a great run at the end, or Air Force or whoever. When you meet someone like that, how hard is it to prepare for them? And do you actually start and do a little bit during the summer for when that game comes along?
Yeah, we try to get a couple of workouts in. We've been unfortunate. We played Army every year. So we have a tremendous respect with Jeff Monk, and we've got a great rivalry going with those guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's a one-possession game every year we play them. We played them the last game of the year this last year and played our tails off up there, and it was freezing cold, and my kids really got after it. If the head coach hadn't gone for his own minus 22, we probably would have won the game, but the head ball coach made a dumb call and cost my kids the ball game.
You've blamed yourself for a hell of a lot today, buddy.
Well, it is what it is, brother.
Yep.
Those guys are a direct reflection of me, and I've got to do a better job coaching. I'm just telling you like it was. I'll watch the video too, brother.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when I speak to the media after the game, and everybody's like, "How do you take all those guys getting on to you like that?" I'm like, "Hell, I was saying a lot worse than that to myself in the headphones the moment I made the decision that didn't work."
Yeah, the hardest critic. You played Texas last year. You've played them before. We know they're in a role. Now you're opening up with A&M and Mike Elko. Do you have to play those games? And not that there haven't been times you've taken some of those guys down to the mat. I'm not particularly those schools, but you have beaten people like that. Is that just something you have to do because of the budget and revenue?
Yeah, we got to get that $2 million. We won't be able to stay afloat, brother. I mean, yeah, we were fortunate. We beat Illinois. We had the game-winning drive versus BYU. Got it called back for holding. It is what it is. Houston beat us in triple overtime. Texas, we played them tough, and then they beat the heck out of me last year. So those have been our P4 games we've gotten, and now we got A&M this year. So, good luck. But it's a lot of fun when you take their $2 million and get on a plane and win the game and come home.
No kidding.
So we've done that too. So hopefully we can shock the world. But I know Coach Elko will have those guys ready to roll. And there's no place like playing at Kyle Field.
Oh.
That place is just incredible.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I'll see you Saturday night, Jeff. I love you, man. See you soon, and congratulations on all the stuff you're getting and the honors, including this weekend.
Hey, David, that guy named Patrick Mahomes wasn't too bad of a player either. I think he's going in with us as well. He's all right.
That's right. Craig did his games on the radio when he was at White House High School, and he will be there too. Patrick Mahomes, of course, RG3. Yep.
I coached against him when I was at Gilmer and White House, and then I was at the University of Texas with Charlie, and we had to play him at Texas Tech. So I've seen Patrick way too close, too much. But I can't wait to see him in a more calm setting.
Coach, could you – I mean, nobody could predict like multiple Super Bowls before age of 30 and all that, but did you sense that he was different? Like I remember watching him and just thinking like, damn, I cannot believe there's not just scouts galore here. It was only his junior year. He had just transitioned from like safety, I think the year before. But when did you kind of get a glimpse of like, this isn't just like a really good player. This is like a guy who's pretty incredible.
Well, I remember it very well because he was just so freakish, but he was a great baseball player as well.
Yep.
And Cliff Kingsbury was the one recruiting him, and Cliff and I were very close and still are very close. He would always ask me what I thought about him. He was just such a freak. I just didn't think he'd go play football. I thought he'd play baseball. And Cliff always told me, I think I can get this kid to come to Lubbock and play for me. Hell, Cliff's been a ton. Cliff was right on those great quarterbacks, and he was right again.
Yeah, he was. Jeff, thank you, buddy. Jeff Traylor,
You're the
UTSA football coach. We'll see you Saturday.